Hello guys, good evening. Welcome back to my channel again. I'm Tassos. Here we play video games, we talk about them. Sometimes we do even both. And tonight we're doing a little bit of both. So first of all, I'm super glad I was able to make this video because it's not very often that I have enough free time on my hands in order to be a little bit more elaborate with my videos. Sometimes I feel, I just do the bare minimum, and sometimes I don't feel that happy with the result, but that is, to be expected, really. Everyday life doesn't really give you much free time to use your full imagination and creativity. It's just the way it is. But every now and then I do get some free time on my hands, and this is one of those times. So I'm super happy that I'm able to make this video happen. So this is a video for the Kung Fu Challenge issued by my buddy Subliminal VCR, Hayden. And I absolutely love this guy's videos, and especially the last couple of videos where he refurbished the Xbox 360 and then, the Camel one, and then he issued this challenge with this as prize. Absolutely amazing stuff. You gotta go ahead and watch his videos if you haven't already. And wow, I also want to participate, but I thought maybe just participating is not enough. I wanted to make this video like a sort of like a retrospective to Kung Fu Master, because I feel like it's a very important game for the video game industry, for all gamers actually, especially us, like the old school ones, because the guy who was responsible for its creation had a huge impact as a developer to the whole martial arts being a thing in video games. And having done my research before this video, I learned about stuff that absolutely blew my mind. Stuff that I didn't know, and I actually feel ashamed I didn't know about Takahashi Nishiyama. That's the name of the developer, the one responsible for Kung Fu Master. It was known in Japan as Spartan X, and it was actually a movie tie-in to Wheels on Mills, Jackie Chan, a Jackie Chan movie through and through. It has the characters' names straight from the movie in said video game, and Nishiyama made this game having a huge influence, having been hugely influenced by Bruce Lee's Game of Death, because this whole game is about your main character going through levels of this temple, ascending the levels and fighting new big bosses every time he ascends. It's exactly like the third act, the climax of Bruce Lee's Game of Death. It's exactly like that. Nishiyama, before making this masterpiece, was responsible for, he had just made Moon Patrol, another classic. You can go ahead and search it up. And he was, like I said, did I say it? Didn't I? Anyways, you would guess that he was a huge martial arts fan. Also, Kung Fu Master, Spartan X, known in Japan as Spartan X, came out around the same time that Karate Kid hit theaters. So I think that also contributed to its success. It was a very successful arcade hit. It got plenty of ports to pretty much every system you could imagine at the time. It got ported to ZX Spectrum, abysmal port, by the way, unfortunately. MSX, Apple II, more or less, all microcomputers got a version of it, and it was sometimes okay, sometimes a little better. Commodore 64 got a very decent one. Of course, the NES got a very nice port. Of course, the NES got a really nice port of Spartan X, Kung Fu Master. And, in the Western version, the North American and European one is just named Kung Fu. They took away the Master for some reason. I don't know why. There was supposed to be a sequel to that, and even though it was really far into development, it was almost complete, it never came out. I don't really know why. We got, though, Vigilante, which is largely considered to be a spiritual successor of said game. Again, really successful game. In 1991, we also got a port on Game Boy, which is a total redesign of the game. The whole temple setting is scrapped. You go out in the streets and in various other places. Again, it's the same. It's more of a platformer than the arcade original. Also, like action and platformer, and really nice pacing. I'll be showcasing this one as well as the Commodore 64 and the Famicom one. I have those. Feeling more like an actual action platformer rather than an arcade beat 'em up, much like the original was. And Famicom also got an exclusive sequel to Spartan X, Kung Fu Master, called Spartan X 2. But by this time, the licensing with the movie Wheels on Meals had already expired, so they had to change the names of the characters in game. Again, great stuff. Nishiyama, after making Kung Fu Master, he also had a hand in making Hold Your Horses, the original Street Fighter in '87. He worked on the original Street Fighter, and he was responsible for designing. He was the one that created the Hadouken. Did you freaking know that he made the Hadouken? And he was actually inspired by an anime of Battleship Yamato. There's this gun that's called like the wave gun, and he got inspired making the Hadouken from that. Stuff that is mind-blowing, and it gets even better because after that he moved on to SNK, and the first project that he involved himself and he actually had part in developing was the Neo Geo. And he had this magnificent idea that people on SNK should make the arcade cabinets exactly in the same principle that people would make consoles to reduce costs. So they would make a very specific cabinet with very specific specs. And then on the back, they would be able to put the board, which different boards equals different game. And that way they would reduce the cost and they would let the market be more into buying the real thing, because piracy was kind of messing things up with arcade cabinets. The prices were out of this world. People could not afford them into their establishment, so they would go and buy pirated cabinets. But that idea with Neo Geo, having the actual cabinet and then exchanging the boards, actually helped and cut down the cost. He also made Fatal Fury, the King of Fighters, which is the spiritual successor of the very first Street Fighter. And if you play these back to back, the setting is exactly the same. You have a very limited amount of characters to choose from, but you get to go through a bunch of different characters as enemies. It absolutely blew my mind. He spiced things up. He was the one who created, the background being used. You could jump in the background and then jump again in the foreground, which was like in Fatal Fury. And he was also director of freaking Metal Slug. He worked on Metal Slug. He moved on in the early 2000s, into making like his own gaming studio. I think it's his own, called Dimps. A largely influential character in the gaming industry and to all us gamers. Like the first Street Fighter, he had a hand in making it. He's the creator of the Hadouken, for crying out loud. He made Fatal Fury. He worked on Art of Fighting and a bunch of other games. He worked as a director on Metal Slug. Come to think of it, do you remember those guys that are like prisoners that you help escape in Metal Slug? At some point, I don't remember in which Metal Slug it was, but they rush forward helping you and basically doing Hadoukens against your enemies. And at the time I thought, oh my God, that's a big lawsuit waiting to happen by Capcom because of Street Fighter. But then I'm thinking now that he's basically the creator of the freaking Hadouken. Wow. mind-blowing stuff. Again, Kung Fu Master, Spartan X. It was known as Spartan X in Japan. And I'll just shut up now. But all this time I'm talking, you're also seeing maybe a little bit of footage from this magnificent game. I'll be attempting this one. It's a one credit attempt, and mostly for the whole idea of me being in the leaderboard. That's all I want. And me actually having some time to talk about this, it felt great. I'll also make a couple more videos showcasing the Commodore 64 version and the NES and Kung Fu on Game Boy, which is like a copy that I acquired very recently. Great stuff. So now I'll just shut up and move on with the gameplay. Kung Fu Master. Again, thanks for sitting through all that. I hope you found it interesting.
think that was good enough.